الله أكبر. الموت لأمريكا، الموت لإسرائيل.
Watching the world burn, December 27th, 2024. Let's get into it. Anyway, I actually posted on a Yemen account. By the way, got quite a few likes. I guess the Yemenis like me a lot better than Democrats or maybe a few rhino Republicans. But let's get into this Yemen post, and I thought this was very interesting because you just watched the video. That was the Yemen propaganda video. And, I comment later in the video, but man, look at those weapons. All right, so let's just read this. Why does America fear Yemen? Because it is a country economically exhausted, suffering from poverty, deficits, and unemployment for decades. Yet today it confronts America, its allies, and American mercenaries without any fear or hesitation. Because it is a country that has been subjected to blockade, bombing, and destruction by an international coalition led by America itself for nearly 10 years. And after all that it has endured, it fights today with confidence, vigor, and strength, as if it has not been hit even once. Because it is not a country known as a superpower in modern times and has not had a concerning military influence over the past decades. Yet today it does, alone with great powers and international military alliances equipped with the latest weapons and equipment, have not dared to do. Because it fights without any political or economic goal, unlike the largest and greatest nations, which usually allows for negotiation and discussion to reach points that ensure the interest of both parties. Yemen's fight today is purely humanitarian, embarrassing and exposing America and Israel to the world. And I'm going to add, for their genocide in Gaza. Because its leadership is young, strong, and bold, believing in a just and honorable cause, and it is entirely different from the Arab puppets created by Britain and tamed by America to serve and implement its agenda with humiliation, submission, and fear. And if you don't think that, can you imagine the European leaders were willing to destroy their countries, put their people in poverty? Right now, Germany's going through the worst recession. They've cut themselves off. We blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. All these things, and the Europeans just suck it up, man. Get a freaking ball, you stupid European sons of guns. And look at Canada, with the 51st state, according to Trump. All right, let's keep going. Because its people are fighters and resilient, culturally conservative, and intellectually pure, and historians have agreed to define them as historically stubborn. They are religiously balanced, showing no extremism except in their defense and support of issues concerning the Islamic and Arab nation, as we see today and will see tomorrow in the Sabine Square, continuing steadfastly with enthusiasm and eagerness to support the children and women in Gaza. And I'll finish it off right here. I know I read too much, and you're probably tuning out right now. But I admire the people of Yemen. They have withstood bombing for 10, like you said, 10, 12 years. I mean, we've dropped everything in the universe on them, and yet they continue to fight. Now, from what I understand, a second U.S. Plane has been shot down. And I mean, think about it. Yemen's taken on the U.S. carrier fleet and whatever's left of Britain that's out there in the Red Sea. I don't think there's much there. I mean, and everybody considers these some backwoods, sandal-wearing, Islamic terrorists. I don't know. I mean, let's just finish it off. Thus, a state that does all this while lacking the most basic elements of a state should be carefully considered in every step of dealing with it, and a people who have endured all the hardships of life for decades are seen today with such eagerness and enthusiasm to support the oppressed around them are truly a people deserving of reverence. And man, I tell you, I thought that was just a brilliantly written soliloquy, and I just wanted to read it to you. I mean, I wouldn't want to meet a Yemen fighter in a dark alley. These people have withstood United States bombing for 10 years. Saudi, backed U.S. bombing for 10 years. They should be back in the Stone Age, and also I think there was a second hypersonic missile that just hit Israel in Tel Aviv. I saw some fires there. Now, I'm not putting that in this video, maybe a future video. So, I mean, it's whether you're for them or against them, you have to admire their fighting spirit. So we're going to get to, and this was another one, and I'm going to get into the video. I actually made the video on December 25th, but after putting my my hiking video up, which I considered more important, and I just wanted to talk about that hiking video for 1 second, which I'm not telling you to watch a hiking video. I mean, obviously this is a geopolitical video. But what was crazy to me was when I met a young woman on the trail. And normally when I go out hiking, normally I don't see anybody. Which is amazing to me because we have the best hiking here in Central Florida in the world. And and I'm not complaining. It's kind of like the undiscovered country. Remember that Star Trek movie? But anyway, so I met her, and I did really put two and two in my head together, and we were talking, and she's a beautiful young lady, and of course I was the same as her. I'm out because I don't have anybody alive in my life anymore. My parents are dead, my brother's dead, all the people I knew in the military are dead. Everybody's dead, I mean, and so I could have gone to the VFW and hung out with a bunch of people that I don't know and would engage in conversations that I didn't really want to have. And I thought, you know what, for my Christmas day, I just wanted to go hiking. And so I made this hiking video, and I met her, and then she said the same thing. She goes, well, I had nobody to spend Christmas with, and so I just wanted to take this tremendous hike. And she had hiked. I mean, man, my God, she hiked all the way down to the river. I mean, that's a 6-hour hike, man. I'm just an old, freaking crippled old man, man. No way I could make that hike, But and so I was like, wow, And she had some flowers that she had picked in her hand, and she goes, I hope I don't get in trouble for picking these. I said, I don't think that anybody is going to worry about that. And she says, well, I had nobody to spend Christmas with, so that's why I came out here. And so she was just getting back to nature, kind of like I do. And I tell you what, it does get your head on straight. And so, anyway, when I was done with the hike, I got into the parking lot, and there was one other car there when I pulled in to make the hike. And I looked over, and the car had these blinders up in the windshield to shield any light probably coming in the morning. And I thought about it, and I said, man, that's probably her car. She's alone on Christmas, sleeping in her car. Now, would you go over and knock on the window and wake her up and say, why don't you come on back and spend Christmas with me? I don't know if it was her in that car. And so I wouldn't. And plus, you know, obviously she's probably asleep, so I didn't want to disturb her, but you know, maybe I made a bad decision. All right, so we're gonna get into the video. I just want to read one more post. This is Insurrection Barbie, and I just love this statement because this says everything that I want to say about the Democrats. I really can't stomach how disingenuous it is to feign outrage over real Donald Trump posts as you sit there silently while millions and millions of illegals are imported into this country. Venezuelan prison gangs take over cities. Crime is through the roof. We are witnesses in the biggest human rights crisis that I've ever seen at our southern border, where there are over 300,000 missing migrant children, while simultaneously spending us into oblivion and trying to provoke nuclear conflict with Russia. No outrage over Biden pardoning his son, commuting the sentences of child abusers and murderers and people who embezzled tens of millions of dollars from their states. No outrage of any of the destructive policies that have become the norm these past 4 years. But you want to be outraged at Donald Trump's post? Joof. I think it says it all. Man, I've been preaching on this on all my videos. Let's get to the Christmas video. Anyway, that first video that you saw before the video, that was a propaganda video out of Yemen. You know, the thing that impressed me was, yeah, it looks like they've got some pretty heavy-duty weapons, don't you think? I mean, obviously, well, they're taking out the United States and Great Britain in the Red Sea, and they, you know, basically bankrupted that Israeli port. You know, of course, I showed you in the previous video that, you know, we've got the carrier planes coming in and dropping bombs on Yemen. They're tough people, man. They are tough people. So let's get into the first video here, and I'm going to read this to you, and then we'll watch the video because it's a translation, but this is Lavrov. I tell you what, he's one sharp dude, man. I don't care what you say. Oh, you're just a Putin lover, you Putin lover. Hey, man, I'm sorry. I wish we had a diplomat. I mean, compare Blinken to Lavrov. I mean, it's just no comparison whatsoever. We got an idiot compared to, well, Lavrov, a scholar, in my opinion. Russia has no illusions about the case of resolving the Ukraine crisis. Key statements from the Russian foreign minister. Resolving the Ukraine crisis is linked to addressing the overall security situation in Europe. I wanted to talk about that. So Trump is talking about putting intermediate range missiles in Germany. I don't know if Germany'd be stupid to allow that. And so Russia, in the meantime, we saw the Orishnik. They're developing their own intermediate range. I mean, this is why Scott Ritter and Ronald Reagan negotiated a treaty way back in the 80s. I guess I'm dating myself. I was alive back then. In fact, I was in the Marine Corps. And so that we could get rid of these intermediate range missiles, because you're only looking at, you know, a 15-minute flight path to get into Russia. You know, whereas if we launch from the United States or Russia launches on the United States, you know, you got time to, I mean, there have actually been instances, I think, where there was a missile that was up and the Russians mistook it. I mean, you know, anyway, let's not go there. Let's just read the rest of this. Moscow has no illusions that negotiations will automatically begin if Trump returns to power. Russia strikes in the recent months have caused very significant damage to Ukraine's military infrastructure. We are not imposing conditions on Ukraine, but are demanding the implementation of agreements that have already been repeatedly made. The West speaks only of a ceasefire that would allow Kiev to rebuild its forces. Russia does not want to escalate the issue of nuclear weapon risks, but advises against testing its patience. It's inappropriate to draw parallels between Ukraine's attack on Kazan and September the 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. Putin and Slavic Prime Minister Fico discussed options to ensure gas supplies to interested countries in Eastern and Central Europe. So what he's talking about, in the previous video, the plane flew into the building, and like I said, it didn't it did damage to the building, but, you know, which brings to mind the conspiracy theory that the Twin Towers were brought down by controlled demolition. You know, a lot of people have speculated about that, and there's a lot of documentaries on that. Because you saw that drone when it hit the building, it didn't do anything to the building. I mean, it blew, when you saw the damage, it blew like probably, I mean, anybody that might have been in those apartments would be dead. You know, so it did some damage, but I mean, it didn't come close to taking down the building. That's what Lavrov said. Let's watch that video from Lavrov right now.
Я бы, во-первых, не стал проводить прямые параллели с атакой террористов 11 сентября. Много есть теорий и даже не обязательно конспирологических, которые требуют разобраться с тем, что же все-таки тогда произошло и кто эту атаку организовал и с какой целью. Что касается постоянных террористических актов, к которым прибегает киевский режим, нанося сознательные удары по сугубо гражданским целям, жилые дома, больницы, поликлиники, магазины, места скопления и отдыха людей, это возмутительно. Это является прямым нарушением всех антитеррористических конвенций, всех резолюций Совета Безопасности на эту тему. И, безусловно, помимо осуждения, которое мы высказываем и, к сожалению, к которому никто практически не присоединяется на Западе, и не присоединяется никто из руководителей международных организаций, включая и ООН, и ОБСЕ, ЮНЕСКО и многое другое. Безусловно, этим мы не ограничиваемся. Мы регулярно публикуем информацию, показываем соответствующее видео о том, как мы уничтожаем объекты, напрямую связанные с подготовкой и реализацией деятельности вооруженных сил Украины. Мы предупреждаем о том, что дальнейшее продолжение такой линии будет с каждым разом встречать все более решительный ответ. И, если честно, насколько я могу понимать, будучи не военным человеком, ущерб для военной машины Киева в ответ, не только в ответ на эти террористические атаки, но и в целом во время проведения в последние месяцы специальной военной операции, он очень и очень значителен.
All right, so that was that. And this is, you know, a lot of people, oh, you're just a Russian puppet. Yeah, I'm a Russian puppet. But I thought this was a good video. It says, we are two worlds apart, a vivid comparison of the Russian and American metros. And the reason I wanted to include this video was because Hochul, that idiot that they've got for a governor in New York, she was saying that the New York subway is safe. And I don't know, I couldn't put it, no way I could put it on a video. But I did watch the video. I mean, I'd never seen a Human Torch before. I mean, that guy lit that woman on fire. I guess he must have doused her with some sort of flammable liquid. I mean, she just went up like a fireball. And, you know, in the video, people are just kind of filming it and watching it. You know, I mean, I wouldn't want to live in New York. I mean, my God, if somebody can't, you know, a lot of people are pointing out, you know, take your damn coat off. I mean, it's cold in New York, and try to smother out the flames. Now, I mean, I don't know, you know, how quickly she came into being a fireball. I mean, it might have just been too hot to get too close to her too fast. But still, I mean, when it was first starting, you know, you could usually put those fires out. Now, she probably has some third-degree burns, but she would have lived. I mean, anyway, it was horrible. And then they showed a picture, I don't know if it was true or generated, of a cop just walking by, not doing squat. But anyway, let's watch this subway video right now. Okay, so that was the subway video, and this is Zalet 71. The main point of Perskov's statements: the 1 billion. He's talking. This is a post, and I wanted to get this to you because we're destroying the dollar, and I keep telling you the dollar's going to zero, and it's because of stupid stuff like this. Okay, yeah, okay, you want to steal from the Russians. Well, what is that? What kind of signal does that send to the rest of the world? Okay. I wouldn't, if I'm Cambodia, if I'm Vietnam, or it was certainly Venezuela, I'm not going to keep my money in a European bank or a U.S. bank because they might seize my money. And I say money, it's currency or debt. Or certainly wouldn't want to keep your gold in the United States. But anyway, let's just read this post. The $1 billion transferred to Ukraine on account of Russian assets is money stolen from the Russian Federation. The Russian Federation in the future admits to criminal prosecution in connection with the transfer of $1 billion to Ukraine on account of Russian assets. Kremlin expects Pashinyan to attend EAEU summit in St. Petersburg via video link on 26 December. Rosneft, a share deal, issues not disclosed in unfriendly economic environment. And then we got a picture of him right here. So anyway, I was giving you the lead up to that. Now this is Judicial Watch. And I found this post very, very interesting. Let's just watch this. Besides compromising the safety of Americans by releasing over 500,000 illegal immigrants with criminal records into the United States, the Biden administration has ignited yet another crisis by failing to properly screen migrants for contagious diseases. Read, and then you would click on it, and you could go out, and he's talking about we've had a resurgence of tuberculosis, measles, a lot of the diseases that we never had before. I didn't think about that aspect of the illegal immigration. It's bad enough that the Democrats want terrorists, rapists, pedophiles in the United States by the thousands. Now I didn't think about the fact that they want infected people with all kinds of diseases in the United States. Don't tell me the Democrats don't want to destroy this country. They're communist, Marxist, totalitarian lunatics, man. I mean, so I didn't think about the disease aspect of it. So if you got a bunch of illegal immigrants in your area, because they never got screened to see if they have all these diseases. It's just incredible to me that the Democrats want this. I don't understand it. Well, we'll get this thread in here. This is Alex Brainicoat, and he does some pretty good threads, and he's talking about the Panama Canal and says, Trump invading Panama, ? Donald Trump has threatened to take control of the Panama Canal once he's in office. He may even go to war over it. Here's the thread of everything you need to know about it. So I thought this was just interesting. What has Trump said? Trump posted this on his Truth Social, an AI image of a U.S. flag flying over the Panama Canal. This is just where it starts. And you see in the picture right now. Pretty cool, huh? I mean, I tell you, AI, I've been using it for my thumbnails. I don't know if it's legal or not, but maybe if somebody watches this who's a lawyer, let me know if I can use AI images for thumbnails. I mean, they're obviously not real. What has Panama said? The president of Panama responded to this, and needless to say, he wasn't very happy. He said the sovereignty of our country is not negotiable. Trump responded to this saying, we'll see about that. And this is a video of him, of his speech, and we'll just watch that right now. It's pretty brief.
Compatriotas, como presidente, quiero expresar de manera precisa que cada metro cuadrado del Canal de Panamá y su zona adyacente es de Panamá y lo seguirá siendo. La soberanía e independencia de nuestro país no son negociables. Cada panameño, aquí o en cualquier lugar del mundo, lo lleva en su corazón y es parte de nuestra historia de lucha y una conquista irreversible. Los tratados Torrijos-Carter de 1977 acordaron la disolución de la ex zona del canal, reconociendo la soberanía panameña y la entrega completa del canal a Panamá, que finalizó el 31 de diciembre de 1999, y pronto celebraremos los 25 años de esta transferencia. Desde entonces, no hubo objeciones ni reclamos. Al contrario, ha sido motivo de fuerte apoyo internacional y orgullo nacional. Se operó y amplió por decisión panameña y hoy representa un gran activo que aporta miles de millones de dólares a nuestra economía anualmente. Estos tratados también establecieron la neutralidad permanente del canal, garantizando su funcionamiento abierto y seguro para todas las naciones, tratado que ha obtenido la adhesión de más de 40 estados. Cualquier posición contraria carece de validez o sustento ante la faz de la tierra. Nuestro canal tiene la misión de servir a la humanidad y su comercio. Ese es uno de los grandes valores que los panameños ofrecemos al mundo, dándole garantía a la comunidad internacional de no tomar parte ni ser parte activa en conflicto alguno. Desde que está en manos panameñas, el canal creció. Es administrado por profesionales idóneos, quienes con reglas claras se encargan de su funcionamiento, conservación y mantenimiento, asegurando su operación segura, continua, eficiente y rentable. Las tarifas no son un capricho. Se establecen de manera pública y en audiencia abierta, considerando las condiciones del mercado, la competencia internacional, los costos operativos y las necesidades de mantenimiento y modernización de la vía interoceánica. Así logramos la ampliación del canal en 2016, que hoy representa mayor crecimiento económico y comercial, generando más riqueza y oportunidades en todo el mundo y su comercio. El canal no tiene control directo o indirecto ni de China, ni de la Comunidad Europea, ni de Estados Unidos o de cualquier otra potencia. Como panameño rechazo enérgicamente cualquier manifestación que tergiverse esta realidad y seguirá estando en manos panameñas como patrimonio inalienable de nuestra nación y garantizando su uso para el tránsito pacífico e ininterrumpido de naves de todas las naciones, como lo establece la Constitución y el Tratado de Neutralidad. Ese es el mayor tributo que merecen los mártires del 9 de enero de 1964, quienes sacrificaron sus vidas en la lucha por la soberanía y dignidad de nuestro país, y todos los panameños que participaron en una lucha generacional sin precedentes. Panamá respeta a las demás naciones y exige respeto. Con el nuevo gobierno de Estados Unidos, aspiro a conservar y mantener una buena y respetuosa relación. Temas de seguridad como la migración ilegal, el narcotráfico, el terrorismo y el crimen organizado deben ser prioridad en nuestra agenda bilateral, ya que son una amenaza real que nos debe preocupar y mucho. Los panameños podemos pensar diferente en muchos aspectos, pero cuando se trata de nuestro canal y nuestra soberanía, nos unimos todos bajo una única bandera, la de Panamá. Somos un país abierto al diálogo, hoy y siempre, a las inversiones y a las buenas relaciones, pero con la clara consigna que la patria está en primer lugar. Eso, para este presidente panameño, no es negociable.
Gobierno Nacional, con paso firme.
All right, so let's keep going. Why would Trump want this? It goes without saying having control of the Panama Canal would be very beneficial to the United States. Over 14,000 ships pass through it a year, meaning the U.S. would make a lot of money. They would also be able to control what ships pass through and would be able to cut off countries they don't like with ease. This would force these countries to sail around South America, which would cost a lot more and take a lot longer. And he's got a graphic here, and I'll show you that to you. But one of the things I did want to talk about is down around the Horn of South Africa. South America, excuse me. I don't know if you've ever seen videos, but it's because the Arctic is right there. That water is always just a flippin' nightmare to get through. If you're not puking over the rails, because I think cruise ships do come through there occasionally, and they're saying a lot of them, there's ships capsize in there all the time, and that water is just a nightmare to navigate through. So, but I would hope the U.S. wouldn't use its power because, think about it. So now you're cutting off trade. So once again, people wouldn't want to do business with the United States if you're going to block them through the canal. I don't think he's correct there. So let's get back into the thread here. All right, so where was I? Some more info. I made a short video covering this with some more information about what has been said and what could happen. Give it a watch. It's my own video from TikTok. And so here it is.
America wants to take back control of the Panama Canal for the first time in over 25 years, and they could go to war over it. And the reason for this is that apparently China is being favored by Panama, and the US is being, quote, ripped off. The new US President, Donald Trump, who comes into office in just under a month, said, quote, we're being ripped off at the Panama Canal, like we're being ripped off everywhere else. And he also said that the US, quote, foolishly gave it away. And on his social media Twitter account, he posted a picture of the canal with a US flag flying over it and a caption that said, quote, "Welcome to the United States Canal." Now, the president of Panama responded to this, and he said, quote, "Every square meter of the Panama Canal and the surrounding area belongs to Panama, and it's going to continue belonging to Panama." And ironically, Trump actually doubled down on this, and he responded to the president of Panama, and he said, quote, "We'll see about that." Now, this doesn't just seem to be a random statement to try and get popularity. This does seem like Trump is genuinely interested in taking back control of the Panama Canal, and it seems like he might be prepared to go to war over it. He went on to say, quote, "It was solely for Panama to manage, not China or anyone else." And he then said, quote, "We will never let it fall into the wrong hands." Now, of course, it would be beneficial for the US to get control of the Panama Canal, as they would be able to control the trade going through it and what countries can send stuff through it as well. And you probably know, but it's one of the busiest trade routes in the world, and over 14,000 cargo ships head through it every year. So not only would the US be able to make a lot more money, but they would also be able to affect other countries' global markets with ease. But anyways, the new US President Trump seems quite interested in taking back control of the Panama Canal. But you can leave me a follow for some more global news like this.
I got to give him credit, and that's him on the video. And then, of course, he goes into his advertisement. All right, we'll finish up the Christmas video there. Peace out. Stay free. Still got a ways to go, but I'm just going to be quiet and let you enjoy the hike back. I swear, I just love being out here when it's starting to get dark and, you know, you can see the sun setting off to the side. And it's so quiet, and let me just be quiet for a second. You hear the sounds all around me. Pretty cool.
You know, Congress has paid over $17 million in hush money for sexual misconduct inside of the offices in these buildings. And what's more is that was taxpayer money, right? The allegation is that President Trump paid $130,000 of his own money. But here in Congress, there may be some on this dais. I mean, I'm for turning loose all of these records. Who in here has had the taxpayer pay for their sexual misconduct charges the hush money? I bet there's some over there. There may be some over here. I don't know, but I do know it's taxpayer money, and I do know not a single penny of it has been turned in as a campaign finance expense. Is the FEC going to investigate the $17 million that Congress has paid to settle, behind closed doors these sexual misconduct allegations?
Congressman, if a complaint were to come to us about it, I'm sure it would be thoroughly investigated.
Мы готовы сделать все, чтобы американские граждане других западных стран не тратили совсем не лишние деньги, которые у них сейчас не в избытке, на строительство бункеров. И мы были бы готовы сделать все, чтобы помочь западным налогоплательщикам на этих бункерах сэкономить. Мы никогда не начинали дискуссии о том, что же делать с ядерным оружием и можно ли его использовать. Наоборот, именно по инициативе России в 2021 году сначала на уровне Путин-Байден, а затем на уровне лидеров всей пятерки ядерных государств, постоянно членов Совета Безопасности, была воспроизведена формула Горбачева-Рейгана 1987 года о том, что в ядерной войне не может быть победителей, поэтому она никогда не должна быть развязана. И это была инициатива России. Все другие инициативы, в которых варианты ядерной войны допускались, подобного рода высказывания звучали исключительно из западных столиц. И начальник генерального штаба германской армии заявлял тут как-то гордо, где-то год назад, по-моему, пусть Россия не очень, так сказать, нас пугает, пусть не забывает, что НАТО – это ядерный альянс. Всем известно высказывание Лизы Трасс, которая сказала, что, будучи премьером, без колебаний нажмет на ядерную кнопку. Французские представители напоминали о том, что они тоже ядерная держава. А вот совсем недавно генералы из Пентагона в открытую обсуждали о том, что если потребуется, то можно обменяться, как они выразились, ограниченными ядерными ударами с Российской Федерацией, но сделать это так, чтобы выйти победителями из этого обмена. Мы напрямую их запросили, все-таки это был генерал Пентагона, который такие вещи произнес. Спросили, что это означает. Ну, нам в ответ ничего толкового не сказали, всячески пытались принизить значение подобных заявлений. Дескать, это заявления, которые носят сугубо теоретический характер, а в реальности ничего такого в виду не имелось. Ну, разве это можно признать серьезным изложением мнения официального представителя военного ведомства? Как бы то ни было, мы не хотим разогревать вопрос о рисках применения ядерного оружия. Мы твердо исходим из той формулы, о которой я упомянул, что не может быть победителей в ядерной войне. И президент неоднократно говорил об этом. Но я бы никому не советовал испытывать на прочность наше терпение, нашу решимость отстоять законные национальные интересы всеми имеющимися средствами. Путин подробно говорил об этом в ходе прямой линии, в ходе своих предыдущих выступлений. Поэтому здесь мы очень надеемся, что имеющие уши да услышат, а имеющие мозги да поймут.